So welcome to Satsang. As you know, if you have any questions, you're welcome to speak your question or write your question in the chat box. I have a couple of questions that were sent to me, which I will address in a few. So this life is about awakening to the truth. The contemplation is the contemplation of truth. The contemplation of the absolute. What is it? That is, that absolutely is. There is a reality. There is something that is, as opposed to there being nothing. That something that is not something as an object, as a form, because objects and forms are constantly changing. They arise as mentation and perceptions. There is a reality to which all arising refers. And there is a reality that refers to itself. So there is something as opposed to nothing. This something, we call it the absolute, we call it truth, reality, consciousness, beingness, Brahman, the openness of being, aware presence. And this waking dream is about awakening to truth. So we contemplate, we listen to the teaching, we contemplate the teaching, we inquire, we delve into the teaching, we ponder upon the teaching, we try to dissect the teaching to understand it. And upon the understanding of the teaching, we have the indirect knowledge of truth. And what remains is to have the direct knowledge. So the meditation upon the understanding, the meditation upon the teaching. And living the teaching rather than living the mind as we are conditioned to do in ignorance. Is the path. So in the world, you live the teaching, and within yourself, you contemplate the teaching. The teaching is very simple. There is one reality. This reality, at the mind level, we refer to it as I. There is only one I, one self, one reality, which we refer to as love, as peace, as freedom, as happiness, as being, as awareness, as consciousness, as I. The mind refers to thoughts, perceptions, and sensations, the arising. Thoughts, perceptions, and sensation arise hand in hand with the I thought. The unseen, the foundation of the world body mind, is the I thought. The I thought is I am a body mind. I am a form that is born in time and space and exists in time and space and is subject to time and space. That is the I thought, the unseen. I thought, belief in mortality and the sense of being a person. Hand in hand with the I thought arises the world body mind. I perceive the tree, I perceive the thought, I perceive the sensation. I referring to the body mind, the jiva, the identity. So the teaching is there is one reality, and this reality is beyond arising or non-arising. It's beyond knowledge and ignorance. It's beyond enlightenment and ignorance. It's beyond awakening and ignorance. It's beyond the senses, beyond the sensations, beyond the mentation. So in a relative manner, we could say that the reality of the world body mind is that Brahman. Like the reality of your night dreams is you, the dreamer. That's on the relative level. It's a teaching on the relative level. Because at the absolute level, Brahman does not know anything else but itself. And it doesn't even know itself as it is itself. So at the absolute level, it is complete silence and stillness, the peace of being. So via the contemplation of the indirect knowledge, via the contemplation of the scriptures, of the Dharma, you can come to the direct knowingness of the self, the direct knowingness of Brahman as being Brahman. You can't jump can't teleport yourself from here to California. You have to actually travel the journey. You have to head west. Well, that's at least for this body mind who is out on the East Coast. Some of you, I don't know, you may have to travel in a different direction. So I welcome your questions, whatever questions you may have. Ananda, you write a long one here, but I will read it.
It starts with a quote from Ramana Maharshi, a little tiny dialogue.
Okay, so it is a devotee that asks what causes us to be reborn, and Ramana answers, desires. Unfulfilled desires bring you back, and in each case, in each body, as your desires are fulfilled, you create new ones. So that was the dialogue between Ramana and one of his devotees.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say at some point it can all be seen as Rabka karma.
That's the karma that it plays out. It doesn't mean that you're buying into anything or whatever.
When is it clear that that point has arrived? And when it has arrived, what activities of life might be happening in a non-problematic way, a way which causes no new karma? Cooking in the ashram kitchen, tending to the cows, carving a walking stick and giving it away, or perhaps having romance, sex, and a family. Can we, like Shiva and Parvati, live a full life as consciousness itself? You have arrived when there is no longer a you. There is no longer any doing or non-doing. There is no longer an activity or non-activity. There is no longer a life or a non-life. And definitely there are no more problems, that's for sure. So the body-mind can be cooking, tending cows, raising a family, or none of that. But we're not talking about the body-mind. We're not talking about the dream world. We're talking about the reality. What is it to arrive? You have arrived when you no longer are. When the mind has completely died no longer to arise. It can no longer arise. There is no longer an arising of mind.
Yeah.
And it is it is not an understanding, although understandings along the path are many, but it is not an understanding, and it is not an experience. It is and cannot therefore be described, because who will describe it to whom? What would describe it? What would be standing outside of it to describe it? What would perceive it? What would be standing so close to it that it perceives it? Still, there is a distance. So it cannot be spoken of in a way that can be conversed at the mind level. Sometimes there is poetry that is written that sort of alludes to the unspoken, to the unspeakable, to that cannot be spoken. So in your question, there is still an assumption that there is someone and a world, or someone and another. There is someone and their activities. What is a part of you? How could any activity, any thought, any perception, any sensation, anything be a part of you? How can anything be a part of you?
You mean apart from me?
Apart from you,
yeah.
Apart from you, outside of a thought saying, "Oh yes, this is apart from you."
Right.
But yet the thought is not apart from the thought itself that is saying this or that is is apart from you. That very thought is not apart from you.
Right.
What could anything be apart from you? And if nothing at all can ever and is ever or is apart from you, what is conversing to what? What is conversing to whom? What is it? What is there to seek? What is there to attain? And yet, it's not sufficient to understand and hear the teaching and understand the teaching, because this will give you an indirect knowledge of Brahman. You need to live that understanding and meditate upon it for the blooming of this understanding, so that understanding becomes your direct knowingness, your direct beingness, your direct being knowingness. What I thought is subtle and stands apart, as if it stands apart from ... from whatever it's standing apart. It arises. It's a subtle arising. But in fact, there is nowhere for anything to arise, because there is just a self. Anything that arises in your knowingness and is intimate with your knowingness. So your knowingness and the arising are actually very intimate, absolute intimacy. And therefore there is no arising, in fact. Like in your night dream, there may be a butterfly or maybe a bird traveling from a forest to the lake. But there hasn't been any journey for that bird, in fact, and there isn't a flying bird, in fact. The intimacy is not an intimacy of two, of the dream character and the dreamer. It is an intimacy of one, which is the intimacy of the infinite, of the absolute, of the universal. So even to speak of intimacy implied very subtle implication within the spoken, within this discussion, is the opposite of the intimacy, the separation. So
that's a beautiful point. Yeah.
But yet we speak, we use this language, but it's not the absolute, because you cannot speak the unspoken. You cannot speak the unspeakable. So we speak around. We speak sort of in a spiral to the core, to the source, in metaphoric ways, and in ways that can bring some understanding, can loosen the beliefs that we have about the objective world and the subjective self.
Right. And when you talk about contemplation, when you talked about who could contemplate what? It's that sort of goes.
Yes.
The very fact of contemplation involves this multiplicity of points of.
Yes.
And imagine someone is contemplating something else to get.
Yes.
Something, whatever.
And yet, without contemplation, without that dualistic contemplation, the sense of separation and duality and multiplicity remains deeply rooted within your being. So the contemplation that may start with a dualistic impression of a meditator and the Dharma, that the teachings, will bring your mind to more and more of the stillness, more and more of the inability of the mind to continue its minding. It will quiet the mind to be pondering what is the reality of my experience. Although there is still the impression of a meditator and a questioner and a question, there is within that question the antidote for that initial separation.
Right.
And so you cannot bypass the contemplation and the meditation. Instead, you need to dedicate yourself wholeheartedly to it and make it your passion, rather than continuing to contemplate the senses, the feelings, and the thoughts.
So there's the contemplation. You're calling it contemplation of regular life. That's thinking with a subject, a me, completely intact. Then there's the contemplation, which is has a certain intellectual element or something, which is seeing the teaching, and looking at these things, and like you said earlier, even taking it apart, trying to get a deep look into it. But then I wonder about a completely non-mental contemplation, and I also hear this talked about. Even I think Ramana would probably say inquiry doesn't involve the mind at some point. So that's where I hate to make an analogy, which will obviously be, incorrect in a way, but sometimes people sit on the sofa for a long time when their contemplation has lost interest in the verbiage aspect altogether. Does that make any sense?
The contemplation is the contemplation of the contemplator. What am I? What is the source? What is the reality of my experience? What am I truly?
Right.
And within that question, there is the inner silence, the resonance of truth, which is the silence of being, the universal cosmic stillness of being. Because the mind cannot answer this question. the mind will try to wiggle its way around the question, away from the question. So you have to, in a way, tame the mind, meaning not to follow the dog that is pulling you pulling you on the leash. The mind will try to pull you into thinking, into time and space, into thoughts meaning time, and space meaning wanting to move away from that question. So the contemplation is always the contemplation of the emptiness of being, the reality of being. And of course, in your life, as you are a student of the way, you apply the Dharma, the teaching, in your life by contemplating the universal love, by contemplating universal consciousness that we all are. Everybody that you meet in your life is at their very core your brother and sister, and they are students of the way at different places in their life. They're arising for your dharmic progress, for your learning, for your well-being, maybe even more particularly the difficult situations, not just the sweet ones, but the difficult ones, to teach you the surrender and the love and the compassion and the humility. And so the mind in your life, if you're living your life according to the Dharma, the mind becomes less of an obstacle. You trip less and less onto your mind and onto your feelings and onto your senses. They become more tame, more peaceful, more quiet. And you are able to contemplate the void, the emptiness of being, the reality of being. Less distraction by the mind. But if you do not tame your senses and your thoughts and your feelings, then you will have more confusion, not only in your life, but in your contemplation of truth as well.
Well, taming, that's interesting. It's an interesting...
Well, when you have a dog that is a puppy, you could give the dog its complete freedom, but you may live to be regretful of that. You may want to over and over show the puppy the way to be and the way to act and the way to behave, blah blah. It's of course it varies. Not all dogs are the same. Not all dog owners are the same. It varies.
And the dog will probably be happier.
Yes, because because the relationship will be sweeter and smoother and easier. You will be less upset, and the dog will enjoy your happiness.
Beautiful.
So yes, don't be so worried about taming the mind. What do you think? You want to caress it? You want to sing a lullaby for it while it is taking you from one desire onto another, onto another, onto another, onto another?
Well, that sounds quite poetic in itself. It almost sounds like...
Oh, okay, maybe I should have put it. I should have added some.
No, you don't buy. It's because it comes down to not buying into it, regardless of. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, sure. Discernment, discern, what is taking you outwards, and what is remaining at the peace and the stillness. So, absolutely, the discernment is very important, because if you do not discern, you may follow. But if you discern the relative from the absolute, then you say, no, I am staying with the absolute. I am staying with what is. The stillness of being. I'm staying with the stillness of being. And the body-mind is very conditioned to desire and to seek and to look out and to measure, evaluate, and compare, and it's all there. It's and to just see it happening. Of course, it's good to see it happening, but you also have to do something about it, which is to refrain from following it. To say, no, that's not what I really want to do. That's not where I want to go. What's the point? I mean, we've done it 1,000 times, and you know the end result of it. The personal self only maintains the personal self, and the personal selves, me versus you, me versus him, me versus me versus the other. The better me, the worse me, better thing, the uglier thing, nicer thing. I want the bigger thing, more things. There is no appreciation, no gratitude, no peace in that. Okay, Ananda?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Magdi.
Yes, hello, Anne.
I'm not quite sure what's happening, so I just wanted to try and explain and explore that with you. For the past few weeks, I've been finding a lot of peace and calmness, space, and it's been really lovely. But now it seems to be going into a little bit like, is this it? A little bit. It's really difficult to explain, but God, I thought I had it much clearer before I started talking to you. But it's like I'm really not quite sure what's happening. It's new territory for me. I mean, I'm in the place of like nothing to do, nothing to prove. I don't have any ambitions or great desires. And I'm just enjoying being and being in the moment, going with the flow. But there's a sort of wondering what's happening. It's unfamiliar to me. It's like you were saying you've reached it when you're not there, when you've disappeared. You kind of know that's it. But how would you know if you've disappeared? I just don't kind of know where I'm at. I think that's what it is. I'm feeling a bit like limbo or no man's land. And I'm not sure if I'm slipping into kind of apathy or a lack of passion. I'm not sure. It's just new for me.
There is the so-called mind activities, what you're doing, how you're living, and what you're contemplating, what you're working on or not working on. It could be that you just have a lot of free time and just hanging out. So there is that realm, right?
Yeah.
And maybe in that realm there isn't much seeking. There isn't now much seeking, or much. It could be that it's just nice and quiet. But then there is the inner journey. Yeah, it's an inner journey. So we, irrespective of what's happening in the world, body, mind realm in your experience, there is the inner journey.
Yes.
So the inner journey is a journey of the contemplation of the truth, the reality, the absolute reality, to contemplate the reality and to understand, to contemplate, to study, to understand, and to live your understanding. And there is a process of, it's not something that happens overnight, but you apply yourself towards the inner understanding. And what is it that you're trying to really understand? You say, I'm trying to understand what I am truly, what is the reality of my experience. But so what? Okay, so I understand now the reality of my experience, so what? Okay, it's no big deal. Okay, now I have the understanding. But what is it that you really, really want when you're contemplating? What is it you're really, really contemplating? You are contemplating happiness, peace and happiness. Unshakable peace and happiness. Where there is the end of these questions that you are asking about apathy. Is it apathy? Am I in apathy? Am I there? Am I not there? Am I slipping into something? All of this, that's not very happy. There's some doubt in them. There is wondering. So what we're looking for to understand is not more than to understand, but to realize what is it that we truly, truly, truly love. Absolutely, all of us, all 7 billion of us. Which is peace and happiness. Irrespective of wars and floods and money and wealth and relationships and kids and husbands and wives and bodies and no bodies, that is unshakable. Yes, that's unshakable. And
yes,
so this is what we're contemplating. And so here we're trying to understand how does that work. Now, if you get happiness for yourself, it's a limited happiness. Because yourself, what is that? Tomorrow you die. You die. So your happiness dies with you. So a happiness for yourself is temporary.
Right.
So the question is, what is happiness that is more than just happiness for myself? More than for myself. It's an interesting question, but I don't want to jump very quickly and say, okay, I really don't care about the happiness for myself because it's temporary. I would contemplate that. I would say, okay, well, I want happiness for myself. Let me be real. I want happiness for myself. But yet, what is this myself?
Well, I just feel I've been in that sort of happiness and nothingness, and it's very nice and it's very peaceful.
What do you mean you have been in it?
Well, that's what's been happening for the past few weeks. This is the new territory, and it was like,
so you have
wow,
to erase.
this is
you
great.
have to erase the memory.
Yeah.
You're holding on to a memory.
Yeah.
What's the use of this memory? I mean, you cannot sell it. What's the use of it? You don't need it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it feels a bit ungrateful, but I sort of think like, if I'm really honest, like I'm getting bored with it. I'm getting bored with just emptiness and peacefulness.
So if you are bored
with
something, that means that's not really what's making you happy, you know.
Yeah, that's
And
right. Yeah,
I would invite you to realize that anything, even the most beautiful diamond ring, at some point in time you will be bored with it.
yes, yeah. I've learned that. Yeah.
Or any great relationship, at some point in time you get bored with it. That's how it works. We all know that.
Yeah, it's a bit like, where do you go from there?
Right. So,
because in life, in the form that I've lived, it's, you get bored with something and then you have another venture and another venture
and
and
you will be
another
bored,
venture.
and you will get bored with that again,
And you
again,
get bored, and then you get bored, and then that's all.
So it is. It's not possible for us to find happiness with something, whether it's a relationship, it's an object, an experience, children, family, whatever. We get bored with that, so we cannot find our happiness with anything. So we have to find a happiness that is free of all these things, free of things.
Yes.
But we're still looking for something. We say, okay, well, let me find a spiritual experience that will make me happy. It's still a thing.
Maybe,
it's still a thing. So as long as you are contemplating a dualistic relationship of a me and something, the great spiritual experience or the beautiful Maserati, whatever it is, boredom is somewhere in there, in the space, is coming.
I don't feel I'm looking for anything. It's just when I go into the space and the emptiness, which feels really nice, I feel like I'm exploring that. Rather than exploring in the world, it's like I'm exploring a different world in this emptiness, and it's new and it's good, but I don't know where to go in it, or I can't explain it. It's like, what do you do here in this world? What do you do?
In this world,
in the emptiness.
In the emptiness, you need to contemplate what is it that is perceiving this emptiness. Because you are still perceiving an object, which is emptiness. And you're experiencing that emptiness, but there is still a dualistic sense. There is still something that is perceiving something else, that is experiencing something else. That something is me, and that something else is emptiness.
Yes, yeah.
You don't want to stop there with oh, I got the emptiness. You need to contemplate what is it that is perceiving this emptiness.
Yeah, I keep trying to do that, but I get stuck. Just get stuck, and then I think I'm giving up.
Okay, then why do you want to? Are you holding on to this emptiness?
Yeah, maybe I am, actually, because it is nice. I suppose it's safe.
For whom? So when there is safe, there is the unsafe, right?
Yes. Is that?
Yeah, because when you are safe, then you really need to hold on to it. And if you lose your grip on the safe, then the unsafe may be lurking around the corner there.
Yes, yeah. You have
the opposites, the emptiness versus what? You see, there's still a dualism. There is a dualism, the emptiness and the non-emptiness. But the teaching is that form is emptiness and emptiness is form. They're not two.
Yes.
So you can find the peace in the emptiness or the peace in downtown New York City or in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah. Well, I have got that when I can go out in a very busy place and it still feels quite empty. And
the self or the peace or the happiness is empty, but it's also full.
Yeah, it's the fullness. I'm not really getting that bit. I just feel stuck in emptiness, which is quite nice because it's new, away from pain and suffering and chaos and
Yeah,
things.
but it's the pain and the suffering is lurking around the corner.
Yeah.
Because you have to hold on to this emptiness. But if you let go of the emptiness, then are you going to fall back into the pain and into the suffering? We don't know. Try to let go of this emptiness. Don't hold on to it.
How do you do that?
Whenever you notice that you're holding on, let go. Whenever you notice that, oh, gee, I love this emptiness, and then you're loving an object.
Okay.
And if you're loving an object, that means you're a separate subject.
Yes, yes.
And a separate subject means there is separation, and separation is unhappiness.
Yes. Yeah, maybe I'm labeling it like this is good, this is what I need to be in, and holding on to it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Holding on is not good.
No, but that's just what I'm labeling. I'm labeling it, oh, this is it. This is good. This is where I need to be, and that's holding on.
Labeling is not good.
No. No, I'm saying that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm
Thinking that you're doing something wrong is not good.
Yeah. No.
This I that you refer to, what is it right now?
It's either person. Must be either person because it's not happy. It's not fulfilled.
When you say either person, what do you mean?
I mean the separate self.
What do you mean? What do you mean the separate self?
I mean the something that wants to change things. It's judging things.
No, what is that something that wants to change things? I mean, if something wants to change things, then my question would be, what is that something? What are we talking about?
I don't really know. It's just it's just a discontented energy.
What this discontentment always refers to somebody being discontent.
Yeah.
But when we look for this somebody that is discontent, we only find thoughts and sensations.
Yeah.
We don't really find somebody.
I can't find someone. I can't find someone when I look, really. But I can find not even thoughts, but I'm finding feelings.
If you don't find thoughts and you find feelings, then you're finding thoughts, because thoughts and feelings are intimate.
Together.
Yes. So within the feelings that you're finding, there is the hidden thought that says I, meaning I, and I, this body mind, I, this person that is born in such and such a town, such and such a year, want ... and I don't want ... And this next thought is, oh yeah, but I also don't want that, but I wish that will happen this next week. There's all this thinking, all these thoughts. The mind is operating Not the low hum,
Yeah.
and it's saying, "Oh, it's empty. I experienced emptiness over the past 2 weeks. It's great. I've been feeling better. But what's happening now? Am I falling into oblivion? Am I falling into emptiness? Stream of thoughts,
Yeah.
And maybe tomorrow, then there won't be the thought of oblivion. Be, oh, gee, it's really great. That was really good. That was really helpful. I'm feeling better now. Satsang yesterday was good. I understood. And it's always referring to I, this body mind.
Yes.
But the question is, in this very moment, what is this I? What is this I? You see?
Yeah.
What is it that's asking that? What is it that's speaking? What is the reality of that speaks or that perceives or that hears right now? Go to that. You see? And then you go to the emptiness. Not the emptiness, but the reality of being awareness, consciousness. You go to awareness, consciousness.
Mm.
And awareness, consciousness is not in the feeling business, is not in the feeling business.
Yeah.
It's not in any business.
Yeah.
But it's awakened. It's awake. Meaning it's aware that it is, and it is aware that it is aware. It's not about how you're doing next week or how you did last week.
Yeah.
And the thoughts that arise that say this and that and that and that and that and that, these thoughts, they're like sound bites. And they say, oh, yeah, I am falling into oblivion, Yeah, you follow?
Yeah, that's what's happened. Yeah, definitely.
Sound bites.
Yeah.
But the musical notes, they arise in the open space, yes? As a metaphor, in the open space of being.
Yes.
Arise. So the words right now that you're perceiving, that you're hearing, this perception that you're perceiving is arising in awareness, in consciousness, yes?
Yes.
And that's not a body mind. That's not a girl, a man, a boy. It has no gender. Awareness has no gender, has no age.
Yeah.
It's not, awareness is not getting more aware. Oh, my awareness is improving. I'm having a better awareness now. Better awareness.
Yeah.
I am being aware.
Yeah. I think just sometimes getting sucked into those thoughts, and they're kind of lulling me to sleep in the fact that I have been sleeping so much that I don't normally do. So they've been, lulling me into this sleep and start waking up again.
Yes. So you need to discriminate, you need to discern between thought that is saying, come to me,
Yeah.
and consciousness that is, that I am.
Yes, yeah. It's just those sneaky ones that creep in. Got to be aware of.
They're all sneaky.
Yeah. But when they're loud, you can be on guard, can't you? Whereas when they're very quiet, it's been,
You need to know that there is nothing in thought.
Mm.
Across the board, there is nothing in thought. Thought is emptiness. There's nothing there.
No. They just sort of slip under the radar, though. Quiet ones.
But they're empty.
Yeah.
But when we believe there is something in them, maybe that's what you mean by slipping under the radar. We believe that there is something in there. So we have like the machine gun and we're shooting at ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I'll listen to this again because there's a lot in it that I need to contemplate. And
okay, Anne.
Yeah, that's great though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any question? Yes, hello, Javi. So, Javi, you're right. Hi, Magdi. I'm Javi Gomez. The train station Zen guy. Yes, I remember you, Javi. I have two short questions. One, I can't seem to recognize that there is an awareness of bodily movements, like walking or doing the dishes. Okay, Javi, if there isn't an awareness of washing the dishes or walking, then how come? How can you even be asking the question? How can you even be talking about walking and doing the dishes? In other words, if I don't have any awareness of pink flying elephants, I would not be talking about them. But I do talk a lot about pink flying elephants because there is somehow some image that arises about pink flying elephants. So there is an awareness of the image or of the thought, pink flying elephant. And so it is spoken. In other words, the fact that you're saying I don't have any awareness of doing the dishes is an oxymoron, because you wouldn't be even talking about doing the dishes if there wasn't awareness. Now, maybe you have some idea about what it is to be aware of doing the dishes. And maybe as a result of this idea or this belief that you have about what it is to be aware of doing the dishes, you are coming to the conclusion that, oh, gee, I don't seem to have any awareness of doing the dishes. In fact, awareness is the dishes get done and there is a certain awareness of those plates, otherwise they won't even get washed. You would be walking by them, you won't even see them. And definitely you will not be washing them if there wasn't awareness of the dishes. Now, awareness is not I am aware. And maybe this is where the confusion is. Awareness is just awareness, it is. I am aware is adding a personal owner or a personal doer or a personal awarer, which does not exist. Two, any advice on seeing that talking happens by itself as the identification with the I is happening through the use of the I word during talking. You see, Javi, we can use the word I, we use the word I, because I refers to reality, I refers to consciousness. So we use the word I. But we confuse sometimes the word I with the body. When we say, for example, I am hungry, we're referring to the body being hungry. We're not referring to I, meaning consciousness being hungry. We're not referring to reality being hungry. We're speaking about the body being hungry. So we say, what would be more correct to say is I, for example, that would be too complicated, but just, just to make the point, I am aware of the body being hungry. But that's too complicated. So we say, I am hungry. Okay? But in our meditation, in your Zazen, you are contemplating in the stillness of being, in the stillness of body-mind, in the inner light of the contemplation. You are contemplating what is I. What is it that is hungry? Is it I that is hungry, or is it the body that is hungry? Interesting. It's a good question. It's a topic of meditation. It's a topic of contemplation. But you have to be able to be easy in your life, to be simple in your life, not too complicated. You're not gonna, there are some people who never use the word I. They say, oh no. They say, I don't know, we are going for a walk, or the body is going for, I don't know how there are some people who don't use the word I at all. It's so weird to talk with them. It's better to be just simple about stuff like that. It's just language. But the meditation, that's not language. You have to be clear within yourself, and that requires your meditation to come to clarity about what you truly are, what I refers to. And the talking, as of talking, or right now, hearing these words, for example, there is, before the hearing, there is the silence. And within the hearing, there is the silence. And after the hearing, there is the silence. In fact, there isn't a before, a during, and an after. There's just the silence, the stillness. You are focusing in your question about the walking or the talking, meaning you are focusing on the mind. You want to understand that the mind is happening by itself. Don't worry about the mind. Don't try so much to come to some understanding about the mind happening of its own, or by itself or not by itself. You are focusing on the wrong direction. You're focusing outwardly. Turn your attention to the formless self. In other words, in your night dream, all the dream characters and all the dream events that are appearing to you, they don't matter. What matters is that you realize that you are the dreamer. So I could tell you that yes, all the dream events that are arising in your night dream are happening by themselves. Will that lead you any closer to knowing yourself as the dreamer, as that is beyond all those dream events? I doubt it. So any advice on seeing that talking happens by itself? The advice is realize what you truly are. That you are the transparency of being. That you are that is beyond word, body, mind. That is beyond talking and non-talking. That you are the reality of being. That you are the formless self. That would be a very beautiful direction for you to meditate and to contemplate. And in your life, just tread lightly. Tread lightly. Don't stand out too much. Don't give the world, body, mind too much attention. Turn your attention on what really matters. The reality of being. What you truly are, the formless self. Okay, Javi, thank you for your question. So let me go over a question that Gabi sent me. So hello, Magdi. Why is awareness, you say, why is true nature, awareness, only linked on the sensations of this body and mind? There is awareness of this stomach gurgling, but not of the body next to this body. This body hand can be willed to move, but not the cat's paw. There is awareness of a sore sensation in this body, but not in other bodies. It appears that there is a purposeful duality within non-duality. It is kind of a residual doubt and confusion. I would appreciate any light from you. Thank you. So, non-duality, Advaita, is about the direct revelation, direct understanding of the one reality, the one truth, the Brahman, the I am aware presence. It deals with truth and with reality. Now, we are given different bodies and different minds. Those body minds are born in different situations, different conditions, different points in times, different places on this planet. And every body mind has its own particular body-mind characteristics. But these body-mind characteristics are not completely 100% different. There is an interconnection. For example, we breathe the same air. We are subject to the same gravity. We are subject to the weather. All of us. Global warming. And we are all also interconnected at the mind level. For example, when I say Tokyo, everybody who is hearing this word Tokyo has an image of a Japanese city. The capital? For geography, the capital of Japan. And we all have also a shared understanding of that there is a country and islands or a series of islands out somewhere in the east that is called Japan. And there are Japanese people who live on that. So the point I'm making is that although those minds are very different, they also share on the physiological level and at the mental level. When I say, for example, ocean, we all have an image. We share an image of an ocean. But right now, in this very moment, every one of us is perceiving a different perception. I do not know what is the color of the couch or the carpet or the floor in the room where you are right now, Gabby. But I know the color of this couch where that is appearing right here, where this body mind is interacting. Now, and yet, if I say beige, you have an image of what the color beige is, and if you say red, I have an image of what that color red is. Now, the thing to understand is that although the couch here is beige and the couch over there is red, does not mean that consciousness, that the consciousness that is perceiving the beige and the consciousness that is perceiving the red are different consciousnesses. Take, for example, a binocular. When you put a binocular and you're looking out, you're perceiving a bird in the forest. Now, you close your right eye and you keep your left eye open, you will perceive a certain image. Now you close your right eye, your left eye, and you open your right eye, you will perceive a slightly different image. It's not the exact same image, it's a different image. Or right now, if you put your hand in front of your right eye, you're perceiving a certain image with your left eye open. And now reverse, you put your hand on your left eye and you open your right eye, you're perceiving a different image. It's slightly similar, but it's different. Although those two images are different, the perceiver, you, is the same perceiver. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Now, to continue to speak about, although the mind, meaning what appears may be different, the couch is beige and the couch is red, although these are different, to continue to talk about consciousness not being different, just to sort of say a little bit more about it. Consider the following. About 10 minutes ago, you had a thought, whatever the thought. Let's say, for example, you had a thought about California. Okay? And 3 hours ago, you had a thought about Texas. There are two different thoughts, completely different thoughts, different images. But yet, it was the same you that perceived the thought of California and that perceived the thought of Texas. The same awareness. Meaning awareness is the same awareness across time. 3 hours ago, 3 weeks ago, 10 minutes ago. The same awareness. If awareness, if you're open to the possibility that awareness is the same awareness across different time, meaning different mind perceptions across time, it's the same awareness, then can you be open to the possibility that it's the same awareness that is also across space? Meaning, the awareness that is perceiving right here outside of Washington, D.C., is the same awareness that is perceiving out in Tokyo, meaning across space. The point that I'm inviting you to contemplate is that although the body minds have different perceptions, this does not mean that the perceiver is a different perceiver. So you say there is awareness of the stomach gurgling, but there is no awareness of the cat's gurgling, for example. You say that, but how do you know that? How do you know that you are not aware of the stomach of somebody in Tokyo, their stomach gurgling? How do you know you don't have awareness of their stomach gurgling? Are you 1,000% sure? Are you 100% sure? Do you remember the thought that you had 10 minutes ago? Do you remember the thought that you had 12 seconds ago? And yet you had that thought. It didn't appear to anybody else but you. If I tell you that you had the thought that you were flying over the ocean, you would tell me, no, I didn't. I never had that thought. But you cannot be 100% sure you did not have that thought. It's possible that you had that thought and you completely forgot it. I'm inviting you to consider that You are having that thought of, you are having the sensation of the gurgling stomach of somebody in Tokyo. But it's not something that matters to you. So you completely ignore it. You discard it. Now, we all know that there are some people who don't discard these things. They're called, I don't know what they're called. They have ESP or they're clairvoyance or whatever. They could tell you, and it's been documented, that right now, somebody wearing a red shirt and a yellow pair of pants is standing at the corner of Madison Avenue and 24th Street. And they take a camera there and they film, and they will find that, yes, in fact, this person is there. How did this person who is sitting here in 400 or 500 miles away know what this person was wearing, or what this person is even thinking? So there is evidence, but we like to discard this evidence. We say, oh, that's just somebody who has special gifts. There is nobody who has special gifts. There's just an evidence from that consciousness is simply an evidence that's been documented, proven, that consciousness, in fact, can experience somebody else's thoughts. I'm just saying these things to sort of loosen a little bit your question, to sort of bring some fluidity in your question about that there is awareness of this sensation in the body and not awareness of the sensation in another body. That is not so true. There is only one consciousness, one awareness. There isn't a personal awareness. There are infinite minds, but one awareness. In other words, it's like a TV broadcasting station. The TV broadcasting station is broadcasting, for example, 10 different programs. There is a sports show, there is a culinary show, there is a political show, there is a debate about literature, etc. They have 10 shows. And it's one broadcasting station that's broadcasting these 10 shows. It's one broadcasting station. And these 10 shows are being seen, are being watched by people who live in 20, 30,000 homes, different homes, different locations. And some are watching channel 2, some are watching channel 12, some are watching channel 13. It's one broadcasting station. Infinite minds, infinite perceptions, one broadcasting station. I'm using it as a metaphor to help you understand that there is one consciousness, infinite minds, but it's one consciousness. And the fact that you do not know what my toe feels like right now is just because it doesn't matter to you. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter to consciousness, you as consciousness. Consciousness is interested only in being itself, revealing itself to itself. See, it appears there is a purposeful duality within non-duality. Yeah, you could say there is a purposeful duality. And the duality is to invite you to contemplate, to wonder, to ask questions, to dig into it. In your experience, have you ever experienced any other consciousness but your own? Have you ever experienced any other awareness? You've experienced infinite images, infinite perceptions, but have you ever experienced any other awareness? How could you? Even a thought that says, yes, there is another awareness somewhere in another galaxy, even that thought is arising in your awareness. Okay, Gabi, that's what I have to say about your question for now. Any questions, anyone? Okay, there was a question from Richard, but I'll go over it again later, Richard, because it's getting to be time now. So I thank you all for your lovely company, and we'll meet again soon. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay.
Thank you, Matthew.
Okay. Okay. Everybody.
Namaste, all.
Yes.
Love to you all.
Okay, Richard. Maria.
Namaste, Magdi.
Okay.
Namaste.
You know.